Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Marcella. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing good, doing good. Great to be here.
Yes, so good to have you. Join me on today's tea time. Good morning, everyone, as we just welcome our folks in, give them a moment to join us. Um, let's see. Good morning. Good morning. I grab my tea, take my sip one time, and keep it moving. So glad that we can do this. Let me see. Let me just pull up on my stuff. Good morning, Sheila. Good to see you. Good morning, Miss Gabrielle. Good to see
Good
everyone.
morning.
Good morning, Ronald. Good to see you. Okay, so we're just gonna let some folks join us in and join with us and make sure we're all good to go. And Mark, we'll go ahead and get started as our community rolls in. All right,
Excellent,
so
excellent.
last week, I had to make sure Mark joined us this week because last week was so good. We had such a remarkable conversation. So we want to continue this discussion on identity. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I was so happy and really grateful for each of you who just shared vulnerably. We went with the flow. We talked about identity and all the factors that shape who we are. So I just really appreciate everyone who participated and really, took the deep dive with us. Good morning, Dr. Roxanne. Great to see you. Okay, so with that, we looked at various labels that we attached to our identity, if you can remember, and I challenged each of you. I challenged you to get clear on who you are. I challenged you to identify those factors that you attach your identity to. So remember, we talked about the labels mother, woman, teacher, coach, all, there's so many that could be named, right? And I know, Mark, you were on, even though you weren't on camera last week, but you were on and you listed yours as
Oh,
well.
yeah, that
Right.
is correct. Yep, could not miss
That's
that.
right. And then the final challenge was to determine for yourself how and when those factors get to play a role in your life. When they get to play a role. And that was important because it was emphasizing the control that you have, the control that you have over your identity and how you are seen, how you relate to yourself, and choosing when to use those labels and those factors and how they can play a role in your life. So that's what we talked about last week. Okay.
Mhm.
So everyone
So I
remember that.
think today,
Mhm.
right? So
What's that?
today we're gonna dive in a little deeper, right? We're gonna go in and really take a closer look at identity as it relates to us being legacy builders. And then with that, we also want to see, how that applies to our money. And I think just as important is how aligning your values with intentional actions shows up powerfully. And so all these things that you brought up, Marcella, is going to be so relevant in this deep dive today.
Yes, yes, because and again with what we talked about last week, all the labels. So really, we're looking at this legacy builder, identity right here, and as you just described, why we're going to do that, and get a closer look. But before I do, let me just recap the definition of identity, which I shared last week, but I do want to share it again to make sure we're all on the same page. Identity is the qualities, beliefs, personality traits, appearances, and or expressions that characterize a person or a group. So there are multiple factors involved in how we shape our identity. And that's what we're talking about. So today we want to take you through the 3 points that we discussed last week and talk about how they impact us as a legacy builder. But before I do, Mark, let me just see who is on again. Let me see. Rhonda, good morning with your sour sup tea. Okay, I love that. That's a big deal in Trinidad. Good morning. Who else do you see there? Walida, good morning. Kalandra, great to have you join us. Lainey, thank you. Francesca, good morning, all. Come on in with your beverage of choice. Let's do
Mhm.
this. Okay, Mark. So we're going to break down those 3 points about getting clear on who you are, identifying the factors and labels that you attach your identity to your identity, and then determine for yourself how and when those factors get to play their role. So we'll go through each one of those, Dr. Roxanne. I see you asked to repeat that. Yeah, we're going to break it down so that there's clarity around what we're saying there. So,
Excellent. Excellent. So let's start off with, how we get clear on who we are. So the first thing we need to look at is, as a legacy builder, that is a leader. And in that position of leadership, it is so important to clarify who you are as far as your identity as an individual leading and leaving an effective legacy.
yeah,
So I really love that piece there, because we're looking at it from both ends, right? You're looking at it from a leadership position and how you're leaving that experience to others, right?
yeah. I mean, being a legacy builder, and I think this whole community agrees, we've talked about it. Being a legacy builder is being a leader. That is an important role. And as a leader in any aspect of life, you have to be clear on who you are in order to show up 100% authentically, and looking at how that, the ways that we do that. And I think that's why in some of the key coaching areas, like personal development, life coaches, professional development, CEOs have coaches. And one of the key things that we all do is get clear on your core values. And because that is one of the most powerful ways that truly help you to get clear on who you are, right? All right.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yes. So I wanted to share, because you may have seen it in the newsletter that went out. I shared the fact that I watch, like I'm always watching something. Yes. Okay. It's my husband and I, it's our thing. That's what we do. We love documentaries, really good movies. So I was watching the Beckham docu-series, and David Beckham is a really famous, world renowned soccer player from England.
AKA football.
Football. I want to say footballer, but I'm like AKA soccer, but because that's the right way. So, but he is like the guy, right? One of the people that really spearhead the game in his time. I'll put it that way. So I'm watching this documentary. I really want to see, because I love sports documentaries, and I'm about 3 episodes in. It's a 4-part series, and I just noticed, as they're telling the story and the way they tell the story, there's some key things that are really important to him. Playing the game itself, which is so you get to see how important it is to him, and then his family. His girlfriend then became his wife, and if you don't know, his wife is Victoria Beckham, who was a former Spice Girl, Posh Spice. If you're my age, you probably may be more familiar with the Spice Girls. So they're married, and I'm watching this thing, and then at some point I look over to my husband and I say, honey, I bet that loyalty is one of his core values. And it was the way that it was showing up through this story. Again, I don't know for a fact. Maybe one day I'll get to find out. But as of right now, I know. But what I was looking at is his behavior and his actions, and how who he was showing up in his life non-verbally. And that is the point we want to make here, because this is what's going to happen. It's going to show up in your life. who you are. And other people, you're telling people who you are by the things you believe, by the things you say, by the way you say it, your actions, right? So, and Mark, I can let you add to that. You're on the call. I'm used to just, you're on the, I'm used to just
Look,
talking.
I know how much you enjoy telling stories, so,
I do,
so I'm quite entertained. But you're so right, because when we talk about identifying the factors or labels that you attach to your identity, and you brought up examples about father, mother, all these different things that are these factors. It's so important for us to be intentional in choosing who we are. So in this case here, in this arena, we want to be intentionally be legacy builders. That is the identity that you need to own, that you need to make a part of you. And you need to make sure that you are not to operate unconsciously, right? So you're going to be
Yes.
very conscious about who you are. That is one of the reasons why when we help individuals and couples discover their core values, we make them keep it in their face, right? There's a document that they need to sign, and it needs to be present, because life goes on, right? You can easily be distracted. But once you discover who you are, you hold on to that label of a legacy builder, then you're moving in a different realm, right, Marcella? That you're moving very intentional.
Yes. And you said the key words like intentionality, making sure that you're conscious of it. You can't be intentional and sleep, and not and be unconscious. It goes hand in hand. Being intentional about what does this legacy builder thing mean? What does it mean to you? And that's what I would love for you to actually add in the chat, because Mark and I can sit here says this is what a legacy builder is. And we've already done some of the work. We've shared what legacy means for us and in this group, how other people experience your existence. But I want to hear from you. What does it mean for you to be a legacy builder? And I would love to hear your thoughts on that. And I see we have Janelle popping in. Hello, so great to see you. And Stacy, good to see you. I haven't seen Janelle. She is busy. Miss Legacy
Right.
Builder over there. So it's so great that you were able that you could pop in and we can see you for a moment. And so good to have you with us, Stacy. Love that you're here. So yes, tell me about what a legacy builder. So Dr. Roxanne, legacy builder leads from the front without fear. I love that. Yes, legacy leads from the front without fear. And I'll add, Dr. Roxanne, if you are afraid, you do it anyway. You lead even in fear, right, Mark? Even in fear.
Yes.
Even if you are afraid, you don't let that stop you.
Exactly.
So I love that. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Roxanne. And let me hear what other people have to say about that. Sheila, absolutely intentionally preparing the way for the family future. Love it. Wonderful. So yes. So about it. And as you continue to add, what does a legacy builder mean for you? Because we want to, that's a part of understanding who you are. We're saying this is a label that we are intentionally attaching to our identity, that we are not operating unconsciously, but we're consistently being that way. And that does lead us to our third part right there, Mark.
Yes, the third part. Yeah. So that is determining for yourself who and when these factors get to play their roles, right? So when we talk about the legacy builder, we need to kind of break down here the core values of who you are, right? So as a builder, you're thinking about your family, you're thinking about the legacy, you're thinking about multi-generational factors, right? All these things. But when we break it down to the dynamics of who you are, well, we have to look at those core values. And Marcella, I talk to you about this all the time, the experience I have with clients that I have not had a chance, or you have not had a chance to do a value assessment with them, and how it is very interesting once this world is exposed to you as far as your values, it's very hard to walk out of that. So let me give you an example,
Please.
a brief one here, right? So I was working with a client, a brand new client, and we're having a deep conversation, and he's an entrepreneur and everything, passionate about his son. And as we're talking, now we have not done a value assessment with him. And as he's talking, I am picking up cues of his values. Like it's the way he's speaking and everything. There's so many components that's truly a part of who he is. But because I did not have his values in front of my face, because we didn't do that, we haven't done the value assessment yet. I'm literally looking at him blind. Like I can tell some of the values, but there's no identifying marks, right? There's no identifying factors to determine his exact core values. But I can hear the essence. So I'm sitting here, Marcel, like I need his core values. I need his core values, right? Because it was
Exactly.
so obvious that he's walking in them. The thing is, he's doing it unconsciously, and to me, that's if we want to fully optimize who we are in our walk being legacy builders, the first thing we have to do is be conscious, be intentional in our walk. And he's doing it
Yes.
unconsciously. So automatically, Marcella, we were like, oh, we need to talk about this.
Exactly. No, that's exactly why we said we're gonna need to talk about this, to share that point. I really hope everyone heard what Mark said about it's unconscious, but it was coming out anyway. I mean, it's the same kind of example as I even mentioned with Beckham. I think yours is better because you actually know the person you're having a conversation as opposed to me observing the stranger that I don't know
Right.
on this series. But because of what we do and we understand how core values ties to our legacy building behavior, we are able to just spot this. And that's great that we can spot it, but we want you to spot it. Like we have to be able to know this for ourselves. Like Mark understands his values and how it shows up for him as a legacy builder and how it needs for him as a legacy builder. I understand my values and how it needs to show up for me as a legacy builder. And we're consistently and intentionally, not with perfection now. I'm not talking about perfection. And I think consistency is really important to understand. It doesn't mean perfection. It means just continuously doing it. That means even when you fall off, I'll say this to the diet and the people working out, even when you fall off, you get right back up again and go on track and get back on track. So let's eliminate any idea of perfection. But consistency, it's continuing to run the race. It's continuing it's perseverance, keeping it going. So for each of you, it's about understanding your core values and how does this show up in shaping your identity as a legacy builder? How and when those factors get to power, and when this factor of a legacy builder plays a role, which we already talked about, is consistent, and how it looks. So, Mark, you gave the example of your client and talking about family, and how that showed up through his conversations through
Yes.
son. So, and I want each of you, if you know your core values, especially if anyone who's gone through the process of discovering your core values with us, with me, then you have them. And we know you have them. And we want you to think of this, pull out one core value and thinking about how you can intentionally use it on a consistent basis to fulfill your calling as a legacy builder, to really allow your identity as a legacy builder to stand out.
Mark,
So go ahead.
Marcel, I have to add, because as you're talking, it's so important to identify that being a legacy builder is not a part-time identity. That this is a full-time identity. It's a full-time commitment in your walk, in your breathing, in your thinking, in your sleeping. You're always living inside this legacy builder identity. You're always living inside your values. So I want to be very clear as you're thinking about this. in almost every action you're doing. We talk about legacy builders, we talk about core values, and it applies in every aspect in our life, including money. So yes, we're talking about, the example I brought up with our new client, and clearly family was very important to him because it spewed out in everything that he said. That was a full-time commitment he had there, right? So it's not like, oh, I'm going to be dad of the year today, and then tomorrow I'm going to be, something else. No, it was always a part of it, even when he was unaware of it, that was his core value. So just, I want to be very clear here, very intentional, the fact that this is a full-time commitment.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I'm so glad you brought that up, Mark. And as you were saying that, and Rhonda, thank you, connector. And you're thinking about how that shows up in your as a legacy builder. Please share that. I'm going to go back to the example of Beckham, the documentary I watched, and so what was impressive, and I mentioned that loyalty. One of those things that I noticed that could possibly be a key factor at a core value is loyalty. And I watched how that showed up in his life and how that impacted him, both professionally and personally. He's built a powerful legacy, both in his career and his personal life. The way I saw loyalty show up was through his commitment to his team, to the sport, to his country, and the countries that he played for. And because of his loyalty and commitment to those things, it generated multiple millions of dollars for him. And the beautiful part of that is he found a sense of harmony. I won't use balance, but harmony. But the word I really liked is alignment. That's where we use here. I saw how his life, for the most part, was aligned with that value, even in his marriage and in his family, which, with his status and both him and his wife being celebrities, I mean, y'all have to know how difficult that is to have a healthy marriage and being in alignment with a core value, which one of them probably is family, but that could be very challenging. And I really think because of his focus, and I see this a lot with athletes. I've mentioned why I love to observe athletes, but I think because of his focus as an athlete really helped him be in alignment with his core values, and it showed up. It showed up in abundance for him, financially, and in the things that he loves and what matters to him. So I just wanted to share that example of someone with a possible core value and how it showed up being in alignment. And Mark, I'm sure you can share one of your values as far as a legacy, how it shows up for you as a legacy builder. I'm gonna
Oh,
put you on the spot.
oh, definitely. I mean, that's the easy one because again, it's a full-time commitment, right? It's a full-time identity, and the one that I'm going to pick today is freedom. And I didn't realize. Here's the thing: when you're walking in your values, it's natural, right? It puts you in a positive experience, right? But when you walk out of it, you notice it. You
Yes.
notice, and I can tell anytime I am not in my freedom, whether it's health, whether it's my money, whether it's my faith, when I'm out of my freedom, there is now a negative experience that I'm going through, whether it's mental, whether it's physical. It's always present, right? So this is why when you know what your values are and you're like, man, why do I feel this way? Why am I experiencing this negative outcome? First thing you need to do is go back to your values. Is what my actions doing? Are they aligned to my values? And I would say the majority of the time you're out of alignment. You're out of alignment because even if it is difficult, even if the choices are difficult, but you're in your values, you'll still be a better place than if you are not aligned to your values and making that decision. So yeah, so freedom is my example, and that's my marker, right? That's my gauge to make sure I'm on my right path.
Very good point. I love that. And I hope everyone understand and let us know if you have any questions about that. This was really good. And I want to just take a moment to see what everyone wrote about being a legacy builder. So let me go back here. I think I know Dr. Roxanne shared. Let me see. Janelle. You said legacy builders. Let me see if I can show that there. Legacy builders are usually the ones that go first, innovators, disruptors, charting and forging a different path. It's uncomfortable, but necessary.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
It looks like my screen is frozen, so I'm still here.
Yes, don't worry about it, Mark. As long as we can hear you, it's all good. Glad you're not mean mugging.
Right.
Let's see. Oh, Kiana, Maya Angelou defines legacy as every life you touch. I love that because that aligns with our definition of how other people experience your existence. I feel like that's very similar. Stacy, let's see what you have. A legacy builder owns and walks in their kingdom identity. Yes, love that. Francesca, a legacy builder leaves in intellectual, spiritual, as well as financial assets to family, loved ones, and surrounding community. Oh, I love that. Let's see. Okay. Then we have some other shares. Rhonda, watching my daughter, granddaughter, and now great granddaughter pressing through challenges before them. I am astonished. I am astounded what they have observed through my modeling life. Love it. Let me put on my glasses. I'm really trying to read without these glasses. That does not help. Wonderful legacy. Okay. And Sheila, legacy building is full time making myself and leading my family to the next level in our life journey, our faith, our finances, and our community. Wonderful. Yeah, these are good. These are good. Okay. And let me see. Oh, hey there, So Paul. So good to see you. I know So Paul has something good to share. Amen. When you walk in your value, you are in your element. My value comes from God that gives me a lot of freedom to be me. Thank you, Mark and Marcella. Thank you for sharing, So Paul. It's good to see you. I'm loving these comments, Mark. And
Yes.
as always, our community gets it. That's what I love about this community because we understand the importance of legacy builder. And if you agree with me that you are a legacy builder and that you are going to intentionally and consistently operate within your legacy building identity, say yes. Put that in the comments. If you are with us, say yes. You are a legacy builder and you are operating intentionally and consistently within that identity. And in your actions, it's going to show up regularly. You're going to do the things it needs to do. With all of these definitions of legacy building, all of them apply. And you make sure you're clear on who you are as a legacy builder and that your actions speak louder than your words. Right? Yes, yes. We're saying amen up in here. At the church, say amen. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, joining me again. And Mark, with your frozen face, thank you.
Right. But the voice is still here, and it was such a pleasure to be a part of it, actually, on the stage. I'm in the background listening and just watching all the comments and all the activity. And just thank you guys so much. This is just such a powerful group here.
I 100% agree. Thank you, everyone. We look forward to joining you for another tea time. In the meantime, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Stay safe, enjoy your time with your family. And really, when you are entering the room, wherever you're going to be for Thanksgiving, know that you are a legacy builder. Take that with you and use it as a time to take it to another level with your family. All right. So see you next time. Thank you, everyone. Happy
I'm waving.
Thanksgiving.
You can't see me, but I'm waving.
Bye.